Happy Friday, everyone. So my name is Kapila Vavegama, and I see a lot of familiar names, VISTA leaders. So wonderful to see you here this morning or this afternoon, depending on the time zone that you are joining us from. And I'm joining from Sunnyvale, California. So it's still morning for us. So once again, happy Friday and welcome to the time management conversation. Because more than a webinar, I would like this to be a conversation so we can learn from each other, we can share ideas and thoughts as we go through this theme. So with that, let's get started. And the focus of our conversation today, as you may have guessed, is to really look at how can we as VISTA leaders plan and manage our energy, activities, and actions to get the best out of the available time? Because as we all know, none of us can have more time than 24 hours a day. So it's very, very important for us to be able to get the best out of what is given to us each day. So we have three goals for this conversation today. First, we will look at or examine factors and behaviors that contribute to inefficient time utilization and procrastination. Sometimes we are aware of what those are. Also, there are times that we are not aware what actually take away our ability to be able to utilize our time effectively. Our second goal is to also look at what are different ways and what kind of resources that we will be able to use for ourselves as well as help with our VISTA members to help them also to increase their efficient utilization of time. And third, very, very important, this is a theme that it should not end up just being information or knowledge, because we really need to take a moment to ask ourselves, what are some of the commitments that I am willing to do in order to be a better time manager or to better utilize the time available to me. So those are the three focused goals for our conversation. So first, let's start our conversation. So what I'm going to invite you to do through the chat function, tell us, why do you think time management is important, especially from a VISTA leader's point of view? Why do you think it is important? So when you send your answers, your thoughts through the chat function, please make sure that you send to all participants, choose all participants so our colleagues can see what some of your great thinking is. All right, so we are getting some great responses here. So let me pick up one few. So we are hearing that time is valuable indeed, and also about getting things in a timely manner, especially as a leader. It's very, very important because we have so much on our plate. So how do we get the best out of each moment available to us? And also we are seeing time is an organizational system that is very useful for us. It gives a sense of security to get things done, to balance all responsibilities, and also to make sure none of the balls that you are juggling gets dropped, of course, because as a VISTA leader and also your VISTA members, this is true for your members as well. We all have so much on our plate at a given time. So thank you. Thank you for taking a moment to kind of think about it, why it is important. Because if we are discussing about this theme, that's our starting point. So with that, let me also share nothing new. As you can see, what you had already shared, I mean, you have actually shared more than what you see on the screen. So these are some of the things also from a VISTA leader's point of view that would benefit us by managing our time efficiently. As some of you said, I think one of you said sense of security along the lines of self-confidence, and it increases our control, our ability to manage, control our time and our day-to-day activities, which also lead to, of course, performance efficiency and productivity. And one of the bigger benefits, as most of us have seen in our lives, whenever we manage our time, we know how it really impacts our stress reduction efforts, because stress is something we all have plenty on a day-to-day basis. So there is a very strong connection to efficient time utilization and stress reduction. Also to accomplish things that really matters to our lives. When we sometimes ask the question, do I really have the time to do what really matters in my life journey? Unfortunately, there are times our answer could be no, and that's very sad. So how can we really take control over the time or the time management so we can really focus on things that really matters to us in our personal life and in our professional life? Meaningful reflection, time to think. Most of the time when we go to work, we are so engaged getting things done. And then we miss the opportunity to have that quality time to sit down and really think about, okay, how can I do things better? That reflective time. That's the time that allows us to bring creativity, innovation to the table. This is true for our VISTA members too. So how do we really, manage to have time to do that? And then better we are with our time management, greater the personal and professional fulfillment, because it has such a direct connection to our life outcomes. So we cannot talk about time management without really focusing on procrastination too. So this is nothing new. This is not a new concept to most of us, because this is one of the things that keeps popping up in our lives, and we really want to get rid of, but it is very, very difficult to do. So let's take a moment to really ask ourselves, what is procrastination? I mean, if you look at the Webster, the definition, and it very clearly simply says to put off intentionally and habitually. And I think that's something we really need to pay attention to, because it is about doing it intentionally, which then in turn becomes a habit. That's very, very important, right? Because this is not happening by accidentally. We are very, very intentional about when we do procrastinate. So Psychology Today magazine, I like this statement, what they says, which I think is a good reminder to all of us, because procrastination is a lifestyle for those who identify themselves as chronic procrastinators. Now, here's the opportunity. But for many, for most of us, procrastination is, of course, very selective. That means because it is happening by intention, so we are very selective about what is it that we want to procrastinate. The things that really we want to take time to do, we somehow manage to to do it. For example, I have some friends who say that they are too busy every day. There's not much time to do very important things in their lives. But this same individual or individuals would say, hey, I was able to watch my favorite episode, spending 1 or 2 hours that evening or most of the days during the week. So when you really think about it, they still find time to be able to do that. But then at the same time, they say that they are not able to do what really matters to them. So it is about being selective. What is it that we procrastinate? So let's, again, have a conversation, quick conversation. Why do you think ourselves, people in general, procrastinate? So let's get some ideas through the chat function again. What are your findings? Why do people intentionally put off certain things, especially at the workplace? Let's think in terms of the workplace. So we have seen stress, depression, yes, this whole thought of avoiding, I can do it later, right? Yes, some are, fear of failing. Maybe one is not excited or motivated to do it. They may not have the energy. And sometimes, unfortunately, yes, being lazy, right? And too many things on the plate. Distraction is a given today in our day-to-day lives, including our friend, the phone, always, being one of the biggest distractors, although it's a very important tool. Yes, sometimes maybe there are other things that really get your attention because maybe they have a certain aspect of it that you connect with, but at the same time, there may be things that you should be paying attention that get left out too, right? Great. So again, from your life experiences, you kind of see what are some of these reasons. So here's something when I actually looked at some of the studies around procrastination, there are 5 key reasons a lot of individuals fall into procrastination at workplace. Again, most of this you actually just shared through your life experiences, which is great. That's what, the beauty of us coming together. These are reality checks. So looking at those 5 reasons, one is, as we saw through your chat answers, an individual at the workplace, this could be your one of your VISTA members or yourself, there's no passion, right? There's no interest. And that is, I really don't want to do this. I don't like to do this. So when that thought occurs in our mind, that's a great excuse not to do it. So that's an important question. When we see ourselves or one of our VISTA members maybe not doing things on time or getting into this habit of procrastination, really ask, is there a disconnection between what has to be done and what this person's abilities, interests, and passion? Second, lack of knowledge, skills, and resources. Very, very important. As a VISTA leader, if I see that there is a habit for one of my VISTA members to always procrastinate some tasks, and then I see a pattern, I really need to ask myself, maybe is this because this individual doesn't have the skills or the knowledge, or maybe does not have the material or the resources to be able to accomplish it. So if the individual is not feeling comfortable reaching out to you or to other important parties such as the supervisor to bring it up, especially if they are lacking a certain skill or knowledge, if they don't want to talk about that, maybe that individual's way of addressing that is not to attend to that task. Postpone it as much as the person can. So as a leader, we really need to pay attention to that element as well. Reason number 3, not saying no. And especially people who work in service sector, because to start with, individuals who join the service sector has a very soft place in their heart. What do we mean by this? Is all about being serving people, being generous with your time, with your skill. So you always want to be out there to help people. It's a great attribute. There's no question about it. However, we have to at times pay attention because of our need to please people, help people. Are we at times struggling to say no when we need to say no? Sometimes maybe you have some VISTA members who may be struggling with this. So when you can't say no, we all have learned this the hard way. Every time we say yes to a task or a request, that means something else gets added to our to-do list. And one way I always remind myself, whenever I say yes to something at workplace, I need to recognize that means I have to say no to something else, right? If I am fully engaged, if my schedule is full most of the time as a VISTA leader or as a VISTA member, so if I am saying yes to an additional request, that means I am saying no to something else. So it's very, very important to be able to practice that skill, to be able to say no when it is appropriate. This is not about us, of course, walking away from our accountability or walking away from our responsibility, but being very realistic and being very professional. So if my supervisor asks me, hey Kapila, we have this new piece, would you be willing to do this? If it is appropriate and if I have the skills and the knowledge and I know that I can make a meaningful contribution, I will tell my supervisor, I feel like I have the skills, the confidence, all what requires to do this, and I know that I will be able to make a meaningful contribution. But I just want you to know, last week we talked about this other project, and I know that is a priority for you. But if you want me to take on my plate right now, that means I may have to put that other project on the back burner. Is that okay with you? Right there, the supervisor might say, oh, no, we really need to get that done. Thank you for reminding me, let me ask somebody else who might have the time and the skills to be able to do this. Or the supervisor might tell me, okay, that's fine, we can put it on hold for a certain period. We will now focus on this project. So the supervisor knows when I'm saying yes to this, that I have to say no to something else. So your VISTA leaders, VISTA members, sometimes they may need to be able to cultivate that skill, to be able to say no again, without walking away from accountability and responsibility, but doing it appropriately for the right reason. And one of you, at least a couple of you mentioned the fear of failure, right? People, individuals, sometimes including ourselves, we procrastinate things at times if we are fearing that it might not be successful or succeed. Interestingly, studies also point out it is not only fear of failure, some people procrastinate things, but also there are individuals who procrastinate things because fear of success. Now that was an interesting concept to me when I first came across that. But when you really look at it, it does make sense. Because for some individuals, they think, all right, if I do this, and if it is become successful, this could be even related to a personal life choices. And then they're like, oh, that means then I have to do something else because, once this becomes successful, then I have to do the next thing. And that's not maybe what I want to do with my life. That's not the direction I want to go. So that also keeps some people to procrastinate things. Very, very interesting concept because as you all said, as some of you pointed out, fear of failure right away comes to our mind, but not necessarily we think of for some people fear of success being a contributing factor for procrastination. Okay, and the fifth factor is lack of energy. Now, this is a very, very interesting concept, and we are going to spend little time looking at this because, again, when I did some research around this subject matter of time management several years ago, and this is the latest focus about time management, and that is there are people and studies, people who have done extensive studies, and there are books written about this too, that energy factor plays a huge role in our time management, our habits, our practices, and outcomes of how we go about managing our time. So, lack of energy. Here's one resource, 10 steps to successful time management. This is a book that also talks about energy element, and what they also suggest that time management is not necessarily managing time because we cannot, have more time or less time. There are only 24 hours per day, so we really cannot manage time. True time management is self-management against time and energy management. And this is, I encourage you to, explore this concept because you will see some, connections for your own life. So when we look at energy management, it is very, very important for us to look at it through different, two different lenses. First, we need to look at what are the energy boosting activities in our life, at our workplace. So my question to you all, take a moment, just for your own purpose, think about what activities energize you and what emotions are associated with them, with those activities at the workplace. Take a moment, think about it. You do so many different things at the workplace as a VISTA leader. What are some of those activities really energizes you? Which means you just look forward to that, right? When you do it, you feel like you are playing. It's just play, it's not work. And every time you are engaged in, you are just happy, you are smiling, you are just having a great time, and you are telling yourself, okay, I can do this for another several hours. It does not tire you. Okay? So really, really important to ask that. And not ask very specifically. Identify what are those activities. Then the next question is, then ask ourselves, are those part of my daily activities? If so, how can you increase them in your daily activities? Right? It's not just doing them, but also if there are there opportunities, again, appropriately with your role and responsibilities, that you might be able to increase those activities. And then the next question, if those activities that boost your energy are not incorporated, into your daily activities, can you include them, incorporate them appropriately? Let me give you an example. Now, I personally, one of the energy boosting things for me, when I take a walk, especially when I take a walk and, just look at trees, there is something about trees, it just gives me so much energy. Just looking at a tree, just thinking about this tree and the leaves, just the wonder of the nature. And sometimes if I'm taking a walk in the sun, just standing under the shade of the tree, just being grateful, appreciating what it has to offer, it just energizes me. So when I work, and if, let's say, for example, if I'm working in a building, office building, I may not even have, let's say, a window to see outside. So throughout the day, I'm sitting behind my desk and doing most of my work in my cubicle or in my office. Then I will ask myself, how can I incorporate my need to just be out there and energize myself? So it can be simply as, rather than eating my lunch at my table or in the kitchen in the office, can I take it outside and sit under a tree and enjoy my lunch? If I can, when I do that, what does it do for me? I eat, I enjoy. When I come back to my desk, I am re-energized. It's like I already got my battery charged. Or it could be, if I am going to have a meeting with one of my members, one-on-one meetings, would it be okay for both of us to maybe just, outside have the meeting outside, or just have a walking meeting? If it is appropriate, if the other party also feels that's something that would, be an energy booster for that person, why not? Right? So with little creativity, really asking ourselves, how can we really go about doing that? And then the other side of the coin, also to recognize and realize what physical and mental reactions do I experience when I have to do energy draining activities. Because what do energy draining activities do? As some of you pointed out right at the beginning of our conversation, create stress, right? So I just want you to take a look at these, two statistics. I mean, this sort of tells us how much the stress, the negative impact of stress on individuals as well as for the society, for the community. I mean, looking at 80% of our medical expenditure are now stress related. This was 2003. So I would think maybe it's even more now. That is very unfortunate, right? Because why? Stress is something we have control over. Stress is something that we can address. It's not like one of those illnesses that there is no cure yet. But this is something we have control over. But even with that control, look at what's going on. And then look at how much money US companies lose between a year. I mean, 200 to 300 billion a year. That's a huge impact. Now, I like, maybe some of you have seen this. When you spell backward the word stress, as you can see, it is desserts, right? So how can we turn it around? So we don't have stress, we can truly enjoy what we do and enjoy our life. So taking control over our energy draining activities, couple of questions that I would like you to think about. Take a moment and just think about in your own mind, what are some specific activities, and also be very concrete when you are identifying these activities. What are some specific activities exhaust or drain your energy, and how do you feel when that happens? Again, become self-aware, because these are things, if we are not self-aware, they are taking control over us. And we only see the outcome of being tired, angry, mad, but we really don't see why it's happening. So ask yourself, what is at least one thing that at the workplace, it just drains my energy. Even before I sit down and do it, it's just like thinking about the activity itself makes me tired. Very, very important. Then we need to ask ourselves, how can I minimize those energy draining or stress inducing activities and also reduce the negative impact? So one way, maybe there is an activity that's really an energy drainer for you, but it can be an energy booster for somebody else on the team. If it is, again, appropriate, based on the context of within the framework of accountability and responsibilities and roles of different people, if it is okay, could that be something that the person who enjoys it, who has got the gift, who may have the strength and the talents, do it rather than you having to do it and to feel so tired? It's not passing the ball. Again, it should not be that. But on a team, when you are working with your team members, really paying attention to what activities are needed in that project and what would be the activities out of those that would match with people's strengths, gifts, talents, and also that people enjoy doing. So that's another way we might be able to address that. Talking about energy, there are many ways that we really need to focus on how can we increase, boost our energy. What we talked about, just knowing what those activities and really doing them more and more appropriately. Then also, I like this 13 tips from Spark people. It's a very simple list. It really gives us some things to think about. Maybe some of us are doing all this. Maybe some of us have some opportunity to work on this. Maybe some of our VISTA members could benefit from such practices. So, not rocket science, but basic things. Drinking water throughout the day. Some people, we forget because we are so engaged in what we do. But as we know, body science is always reminding us the need for enough water in our system. And number two, I can, personally share my own story, cut back on the amount of soda and coffee you drink. As a trainer, I had a habit many years ago. I just enjoyed drinking soda during my sessions, right? When I'm facilitating, whenever there's a little break, I would have the soda on my table and I'll just keep drinking. So I would end up drinking several, cans of soda or bottles by the end of the day. But one fine day, I realized this is not really helping me. And many years ago, now it's been several years, I gave up drinking soda totally. And I mean, the impact, how it changed my level of energy in a good way, it was unbelievable. I could not believe how I started feeling, and also not feeling as tired as when I used to do that. I had so much, I could feel the new energy. within me. And then again, looking at the other ones, you know, replacing high sugar foods, then having, you know, snacks. We all like snacks, but being, you know, really paying attention to type of snacks that really truly help us with our body energy. Taking the time to have our meals, right? Healthy meals. I know as VISTA leaders, some of you may even not take enough time for your meal break or skip your meals. So we need to ask ourselves, are there some habits that really going against my will or my opportunity to build energy, to be more energized? So again, we don't need to go through the entire list, but as you are looking at them, some simple things, but they can go a long way. The reason is, although they are simple things, most of the time we do not take time to really think about our own well-being. And we need to be a role model. We need to be a coach, a guide to our own VISTA members, sometimes who may not take enough time for their own maintaining on their well-being, physical and mental well-being. So these are some, you know, good reminders. And here's another book, maybe some of you have read this, called The Winner's Brain, 8 Strategies Great Minds Use to Achieve Success. In this book, there is an entire chapter, the last chapter, that talks about how to maintain and boost our energy so we can be more productive and effective in our day-to-day life, both personally and professionally. So it talks about the importance of the exercise, brain stimulation, physical exercise, brain exercise, nutrition, and the sleep. I mean, sleep, you all know, if you just do a Google search about the importance of sleep, there are so many studies that just keep bringing out the point, as human beings, we need sleep, good sleep. I mean, the studies also, some studies, neuroscience is also suggesting today the way our brains are wired. There are some people pointing out, even at school, if the kids get little nap times, not small kids, even adults, if there is a sort of a brief nap times built into the school schedule, that can really boost their memory skills, internalizing skills, their ability to absorb information, and also to recall that information later. And there had been testing that actually has proven that. So it is our way of, you know, letting our brain get its needed rest. So we need to ask that question, am I really paying attention to my brain's need? And just look at this. I mean, a simple, you know, statistic, but tells a huge story. And people who exercise before work or during lunch break, how they have been, how they can better able to handle their day-to-day demands at work, and also the attitude, how it really impacts people's attitude. Isn't it amazing when you look at these statistics? Very high impact, right? So moving along, so that's, you know, one piece I wanted to bring to your kind attention today is about the time management, also about energy management. So what we have looked so far, just recognizing what are my energy boosting activities, and then asking these important questions, am I really focusing on those? So I have a way of continue to energize myself, and then focusing on or getting to know what your energy draining activities, and having some creative ways to handle them, overcome them, and then also building certain habits in our lives that will allow us to boost our energy on an ongoing basis. Now we are going to take a look at what are some time wasters. How do we seems to be wasting time? There are many, of course, but again, when I did the research, the study around this subject matter, many studies or literature points out 5 key time wasters at the workplace. So what are those 5 key? Lack of unclear personal and professional goals. This is a big piece for a lot of us. We'll take one at a time and briefly talk about them as we go through this conversation. Second is becoming a victim of other people's need to kill their time, unfortunately. We need to be aware of that and to be able to address if it is happening at your workplace. Unaware of subtle time robbers. We all have subtle time robbers in our lives. Some of us are more self-aware, again, some of us are not. So really identifying who are these robbers and how do we take care of them. Lack of recallable organization. Not just organization, but the ability to recall or find things when you really need to find them. Lack of schedules and lack of prioritization, right? So let's take one at a time. Lack of unclear personal and professional goals. Here's what happens. Those of you who have very clear personal and professional goals written for your lives, you don't have this challenge. But there are many individuals, again, as a VISTA leader, this is something you can guide, coach your members to do if they are not attending to this very important piece in their lives. We need to be able to, any individual at any given time, like when somebody asks what their name, they say their name. Likewise, it is important for any individual to be able to answer the 2 questions very easily. Is when somebody asks, what is your personal goal? Or what are your personal goals? Likewise, what are your professional goal or professional goals? But think about it. How many people can very clearly articulate them or have something handy that they can share when you ask those questions? I come across many times individuals saying, oh, you know, I haven't really thought about it. So that's a huge missed opportunity in many ways in life. So how does it, connect to time management? Because if I have very clear personal and professional goals, every day when I decide what I want my time to be focused on, it is not my daily mood that is going to decide it. It is not based on how I feel for that day, but my driving force would be my goals. At work, my goals, my work goals, and my professional goals. Right? Then also outside of work, it will be my personal goals. So when I decide how I want to spend time, what is more important, I need to ask, what are the goals, overall goals here? So they are connected to the goals, so the choices, the decisions I make, they are going to be sound decisions and directly related to a larger outcome. And then asking myself, does my lifestyle really match my personal goals? Does the way I go about my work, do they really match my professional goals? So that's very, very important. So here's a question I would like you to think about, not to answer it right now, but as you are walking away from this conversation today, jot down some of these questions, make some mental notes or actual written notes to ask ourselves, if you don't have it, do I have clear personal and professional goals for myself? In another way, in another 10 years, this is 2017, in 2027, what do you see as your work? What is it that you want to be doing in your career life? That's an important question that we should be able to answer, because then I know what my destination, so I again make the right choices, do the right things to go that direction. Number 2, becoming a victim of others' need to kill time. Maybe some of you have stories around this. This happens a lot at the workplace. When we say others need to kill time, sometimes those other individuals, they may be doing it intentionally or unintentionally. They themselves may not be self-aware that they are doing that. So a couple of simple questions, and before we go there, look at this statistic again, please. How the interruptions on a typical day adds up to all this, the missed opportunities. So, couple of questions I ask myself to recognize, are there individuals who are doing this, again, consciously or unintentionally? I ask myself, are there people, am I seeing a pattern with some individuals who drop by my office or by my desk and get into these conversations? Those may not have any real relevancy to what we should be talking at that point at the workplace. It is not about, we are not talking about not to have human connections. It is an important piece as a leader, but we are talking about patterns. We are talking about conversations having at the wrong time. Is this a conversation that could happen during our meal time together? Fine. But is this something this person always, just because he or she has a lot of time, come to me and have this conversation and actually interrupt what I am doing at that given time? So seeing for those patterns and seeing who these people are. Then another important question I ask myself, now, what is the role I am playing? Am I actually inviting, again, unconsciously, unintentionally, am I setting the tone for this person to do it? Is this person only doing this with me, not with other people? Maybe then I have a certain behavior that I may be giving a signal to this person, oh, it is okay, you can come and have all these conversations, I'm there just to, stop everything and listen to you. So really asking, is there anything that I am doing to accommodate, encourage this type of behaviors? And then another important question I ask myself, it's individual integrity, and that is, hey, am I doing this to another person? Do I have a habit of, taking other people's time inappropriately, not in the right context, and not having the right conversation when somebody is actually trying to focus what matters at that time at the workplace? So it's a question we also need to look at ourselves through similar lenses, because there may be something that we don't know that we may be doing as a practice. So that is becoming a victim of others' need to kill time, our second time waster. So question, are there individuals who might be doing this. So that's a walk away, one question for you. Third one, unaware of subtle time robbers, right? So there are so many time robbers in our life, but sometimes we are not aware of them. Example, sometimes I notice there are individuals at the workplace, when they want to get a cup of water from the kitchen, from the water filter, they walk from their office to the kitchen, which could be about, 30, 40 feet away. That walk to the water filter and coming back to their table could, might take maximum about 2 minutes, right? But I see sometimes at places I have worked, I see some individuals that 2-minute walk actually always is like a 30-minute walk. Sometimes they themselves don't recognize it, because on their way to the water filter, at the water filter, coming back, they are having so many conversations, again, not relevant conversations to what's going on. And it's a habit, and they don't even recognize that. So it's a subtle time robber for them. We all, most of us can, speak to this. I myself can speak to this, to be very honest. And then that is, when I want to check out something like an email or a certain article on the web, and I go there, this is a specific purpose, and it should only take about 5 minutes, to be very honest. But there are times I ended up maybe spending 30 minutes, 40 minutes, just for one single item checkout. And that happens to a lot of us when we, when we go to the email account or when we go to the web to look for a certain relevant article or some study, but something, get our attention, then we forget our primary reason why I even opened that web browser, and then end up, spending a lot of time and then coming back and then realizing, oh, I already lost 1 hour there, right? So again, being very conscious about it. So how would I know what are those subtle time killers? Here's one tool that I have created. If you are interested, I can invite you to allow you to download this at the end of our conversation, and that is maintaining an activity log. It's good if you do it for like 2 consecutive weeks. So the way I have done this, I will have this for each day. Then this is not a planning worksheet. This is an activity log. This is what I just did that day, right? Not what I'm going to do. So at the end of the day or midday, because by the end of the day I may have forgotten a lot. So like before lunch and at the end of the day, I will take time to just jot down what are some of the things I did that day and what was the activity and how much time I just spent. Okay, so let's say at 8 o'clock my activity was checking my emails. And, I spent like 1 hour, I would say 1 hour, then 9 o'clock, whatever. So like that, I will do it for every day. Just these first 3 columns, none of the others yet. Then at the end of the week, I will sit down and look at these and then ask myself, is this activity, what's the level of importance? Is this a high important activity or medium level or low level? Just I will put something here, right? I will mark it based on my role and responsibilities, based on the work priorities, all that I will give them a level of importance. Then I will ask myself, after I see some patterns, is there a change needed? For example, there may be a certain activity that I am doing every day, work related, but it may be so low important, but I may be spending more time than what it should take. Then I will make a note here, type of change need is to reduce the time. And then I will make a note. Okay, from next week, I am going to only spend 15 minutes. Okay, not 45 minutes. So really making a commitment, but also very specifically, concretely identifying. And if you're going to use a tool like this, please do it at least for 2 consecutive weeks. You know why? Because there may be some activities, they don't happen on an ongoing basis. But what you really want to catch, the ones that happen on an ongoing basis, and see what is the pattern there, and really understanding where can you reduce, where you need to increase, or where you are doing good with the time you spend. So that could be a maintained situation. So that's one way, one strategy and a tool you can use to identify what are your subtle time killers and really concretely address them. Then our fourth one we talked about was, looked at earlier, lack of recallable organization. Now, it is not organization. Sometimes you walk into somebody's office, very neat. You know, you say, wow, you keep your office so neat and clean, looks like well organized. But then you ask the person, hey, by the way, do you have that document? But the person cannot really find where that particular document is. That's because the organization only is at a supervision level, but not at a level that it is recallable, right? I mean, look at this. Executives waste 6 weeks per year searching for lost documents. Think about it, 6 weeks per year, just searching for lost documents, right? So again, these statistics also tell us the story, right? Because people are disorganized, what is the negative impact they are having. So really asking ourselves, how do I currently organize my information, my hard copy folders, documents, as well as electronic files and documents? I know most of you, for example, in your email account, you may have certain folders that is very, clearly labeled for the right purpose. So when you get an email into your inbox, you will file it or take action and put it in the right folder, in a subfolder, and then you are really attending to them, not to like just, get rid of it and not to see it for another 3 weeks, and then we see it and, oh, wow, we have missed the deadline. Not that kind of, putting it away. So some individuals, what they do, they make a commitment that they will not have, at the end of the day, any email in their inbox. Because all the emails that came during the day, whatever the time they were addressing the emails, either they have followed up on it or they had put it in the right folder, so it will be taken care of at the right time. But they have it organized in such a way. So their inbox, one of their commitment is at the end of the day, there is nothing in the inbox, no emails. However, they are also not forgetting to follow up on emails, because they have a very concrete way, a strategy with that organization that they are going to take care of it. So really asking ourselves whether it is our electronic organization or actual physical folders. Here's another place that we may have some opportunity. If you have 10 different disks that contains information or flash, flash drives. One of the things that works for me, I will print out a TOC, like a table of contents that lists the major document types or categories in that specific flash drive. And then, have it, or if it is a CD, on the CD cover, I will have it. So when I look at the CD cover, it tells me there are these documents, these folders and related documents are in this one. So I don't have to throw in each disk looking for that, right? So something simple like that could also help our VISTA members. Then the fifth one is lack of schedules and prioritizing. Again, research point out 1 hour of planning will save 10 hours of doing. Just think about it. Strategic planning, scheduling, and prioritizing. How much time it saves and how much stress it can eliminate, right? So huge benefit. So one thing is maintaining not just things to do list. We all have things to do list, most of us. Then we need to have another things to do list to find our things to do list, right? So what's important is really maintaining an active things to do list. Here's one tool. Again, if you are interested, you can download this at the end of the event today. And I created this. What this allows me to do, this is a template, very simple template. So every day I open a new template, this document, I put the date, and then I just write whatever the activities I need to do that day. I don't think about prioritizing. I don't think about when, none of that. Just I write down the activities on each row, not even in a order, just whatever I have to do. I just write them down. Then the second thing I do, I ask myself, okay, this specific activity, how much time should I need? Then I may say 30 minutes. Next one, I may say 1 hour. Okay. So second and the third column I do. First, second column, then the third column. Then what I do, I look at the priority column and then I look at the activity list and looking at the activities, I ask myself, out of these, which one should be the first? Like thinking of my energy, priorities, urgency, all that. Then maybe the item I listed as on the 10th line could be the first one I want to do. Then I would put number 1 under the priority for that item. So likewise, I will put the numbers under the priority list. Then what I do, I will highlight and I will click on Word. As you know, you can do the ascending order, just the priority line. So it will automatically reorganize my list. Priority number 1 on the top, second next, like that. Then I will look at, okay, now number 1 had already come up here automatically. Then I looked at, I said 30 minutes. Then if I'm starting work at 8, I say 8 o'clock. And the next one for 2 hours, but this one all 8, then I'll say, okay, 8:30. Now I look at, I complete the scheduled time. So that way, it's an active based on priorities, based on the day, based on how urgent these activities, it's been prioritized that way. Because most of the time, what happens when we try to do a things to do list, we are trying to do too many things at the same time. So we open the things to do list. Now we are asking, okay, what should I do first? What should I do second? And that can be so time consuming. But here, what you do, what are the things I just need to do today? That's where your starting point. Then you ask, okay, for each activity, how much time do I need? Simple. It doesn't take much time to think that. Then you go to the list and say, okay, now out of these 10 activities, which one I want to do first? And just put number 1 for under priority and then reorganize. And then you schedule it based on the time you are starting and based on the time you are finishing that day. So as I said, that template can also be downloaded if you are interested. So now what I would like you to do, let's take a moment. And here's our commitment to this, right? It is not about information. It's not about, these webinars, the knowledge, but what matters, what is it that I'm going to do with this, what I'm learning. So I want you to take a moment. Out of these 5, ask yourselves, what are at least 2 time wasters, either this 5 or if there's anything else in your mind, that's great, more relevant to your situation. Ask, make a mental commitment, even write it down somewhere. If you have a piece of paper, make a commitment, physical, some commitment there by writing, what is it that I'm going to, from today, I'm going to take control over. And after a couple of weeks, I can tell myself, hey, I have really come back this time waster in my life. So ask yourself, think about what is it that you're really going to make a commitment to. So let's take about 30 seconds for people to think about that individually. All right, I'm getting some responses through the chat function. Thank you. That's great. Those of you are actually communicating that too. So if anybody is interested, you may want to share that with your colleagues here. There is, some of you know this. It's very interesting. When you make a commitment, a personal commitment to work on something towards your own or personal or professional growth or development, what they say, the psychology informs us, when you make a public announcement about it, then the commitment of that individual towards whatever that he or she committed increases. Because, it's like, oh, I have told other people too that I'm going to work on it. So there is a commitment to yourself and also a commitment to the word you gave. This happens even, when people are trying to quit a certain habit like smoking. One of those situations, what they say, asking them to actually make a public statement to their support group. So when individuals do that, that also keeps them moving at with a higher level of commitment. So thank you for those of you who actually identifying, okay, these are some areas that I can, really commit myself and do some work around. So I really salute your own commitment to what you want to work on and also your courage to be able to share that. So the next question is, again, we have so much expertise here. So what are other time management strategies or techniques you have found to work for you in the past or in the current context? So we are seeing prioritizing is critical, making lists. What are some of other things? This is your opportunity to share some of your own personal success with your colleagues here. Anything else that comes to your mind that you tried out and it seems to be really serving you or helping your VISTA members to be able to do? So let's continue. We have a few more things. Yes, some of you actually identifying some organizational tools, keeping small calendar, and set my due dates for a few days early. Yes, that's a great technique. When you set your sort of own deadline few days before the actual deadline, and then when you really commit to it, or the sense of relief, accomplishment, and pride that comes along with being able to fully complete something before the deadline. I mean, those of you who do that, you know what a great sense of accomplishment and no stress at all, right? It's not stress when you do that. It is about celebration. You are like, hey, I have a few more days just, to do other things that I need to focus on. That is a great habit. Great. So we are getting some great ideas, insights, strategies through the chat function. Great. So some of you, again, you are categorizing, based on the urgency and the importance. Very cool. And thank you again for generously sharing that. And then we are going to take a quick look at 6 steps to time management. Nothing new, not rocket science, but to kind of bring all this together. And then after that, we will have the time to do the survey. And then we are done. So just let's take a look at this. So 6 steps to time management. As you saw, what one of our focus during our conversation was to become aware and have the knowledge and the need for the change, right? So really doing that kind of need assessment, doing a time log to find out your subtle, the time robbers, identifying who are the people who may be, what are some of their behaviors that may be killing our time. All that is kind of doing a need assessment about our time use and becoming self-aware. And the second step is identify problem areas or the opportunities that we can address to increase our own time management. So it is about, as we said, recognizing what are our energy boosters, what are our energy sappers, and also what are some of our time wasters. Then making a commitment to change the behavior, attitude, and belief, right? So it is about mindset. We want to tell ourselves, okay, from today, from now on, from this moment, I am going to have a new relationship to the time. When I think of time as a concept, I am going to see it in different light, in the sense that this is something that I can get the best out of, and this is something that requires my self-management and energy management, and I am going to take control over how I spend my time and for what. Then once you identify some strategies, I encourage you, please don't give up. Keep doing it for at least 3 weeks on an ongoing basis. Okay, so that's really, when you do it for at least 3 weeks, your commitment, it will slowly take you to the next level of becoming a habit. But you really have to be committed, at least for 3 weeks. And then monitor progress, right? But then we need to ask ourselves, as we are implementing new ways of managing time, how are we doing? Take pride. Give a pat on the back and say, yes, when you are doing it right, really enjoy, celebrate that. But also if you are sort of seeing, okay, I still need to make maybe some other adjustments, doing an ongoing pulse check, right? Otherwise, this can also just end up being another conversation. And then transformation happens when you continuously engage in these new behaviors. One day it will slowly become a habit. And you know what? Once it's become a habit, you don't have to think twice. That becomes one of your operating, governing behaviors, values, principles in your life. At that time, you can say, I have mastered it, right? So very, very important. So the next piece is, the question is, the most important classic time management question is to ask ourselves when we do something, is this the best use of my time right now? Simple question, but it's really a great question to ask ourselves. So as you can see, time management is not doing the wrong thing quicker, right? It does not get us to the right outcome, and time management is doing the right thing, focusing on the right stuff. So with that, let's take a quick look at the goals we had for this conversation. We said that at the beginning we will look at some examine factors and behaviors that contribute to inefficient time utilization and procrastination. So we looked at time wasters, we look at 5 key reasons for procrastination. So that was our focus there. Then identify techniques and tools that will help us. So we talked about some tools we can use, some ways we can address those time wasters. And you all, through the chat function, very generously shared some great techniques that you are currently employing that seems to be working for you. So thank you again. And then also, as some of you did, publicly, made some personal commitment for ourselves to use the time more efficiently. So with that, I'm going to open the survey. So I would very much appreciate if you can take a moment and complete it. And once you complete it, and if you are still interested in the those 2 tools, documents, then I'm going to allow you to download this. So give me a second. I'm trying to open the poll. So the poll is open. You should be able to see it on your screen. And please go through the scroll bar because there are a few questions. And your feedback is very, very important. So please do not run away. Take time to complete it. And thank you for taking the time to give your feedback. It's very helpful for us. And also, thank you so very much for taking time out of your Friday to be part of this conversation, and also, again, being very kind and generous in sharing your wisdom and your expertise around this time management theme. So with that, what I'm going to do is to stop recording the webinar and also try to bring those 2 documents on the screen, which will allow you to download them. Okay, so give me a minute or 2, and if you're interested, you will be able to download the 2 documents for your future purpose.